Hey everyone, so bot lane has kind of chilled out a little bit. It can still be a bit of a mess, but right now AD carries aren't as bad as they were after the first changes after that update. So I thought it was time to do one of these and rank them all for solo queue. This is purely about how easy it is to win a game with them ready for like the average solo queue AD carry. We're going to rank every AD carry from 5 stars down to 1 star, but we're going to start with the 5 stars. So these are ones that I think you could pick every single game and not run into that much trouble. Like they're never going to be a bad pick. Jhin is going to be the first one, and it's mainly because of Halo Blades. I think it's such a good keystone. It gives attack speed, right? Which then converts into AD from Jin's passive, and it gives you really good trading. There's also a buff recently where they changed the time between attacks you could actually have, so it works much better. It just flows much better with Jhin because he attacks very slowly. Stormrazor makes it extremely hard to play against him as well. Like he just does so much damage, especially with Hail Blades and that Stormrazor, but you scale better with the crit build. Like you used to go some lethality and stuff, now it is really the Stormrazor, Rapid Fire, and Infinity Hit. One of the best things about him is the kill pressure in the lane phase. You can actually get yourself ahead, you can fight, you can trade well, you can nuke people down with your 4th crit shot. You also have good setup though. You have like your Stormrazor and then Rapid Fire, right? It's a long range crit, which is good damage, but it applies the mark. So you can put your W on afterwards. You can open with your ultimate after that for some slows, and it's really good setup for the rest of your team. The only downside to Jhin is you are immobile and you can be camped and kind of like jumped on pretty easily, but you have this high range, right? So you can kind of sit at the back of the fight. You can kind of cover that weakness a little bit, and thankfully there aren't many tanks in this meta either. So Misfortune is our other 5-star champion, probably the most fun pick actually right now to play as AD carry with Dark Harvest. It happens to be one of the best builds as well. It's kind of rare that a fun build meets best build actually, but for once we finally have that. And Misfortune has a much higher base win rate. So what I mean is you're going to start winning basically as soon as you start to play the champion, more than any other AD carry at least. A big part of that is your insane lane pressure. It's very easy to grow a massive lead. You can zone people away, you can chunk them down with your Q. You don't even have to get in range for them to trade damage back. You can just fling out your Qs and hope for the best. Your ultimate as well in teamfights can shred an entire team. It's not single target, it is going to be multi-target. This is one thing that most AD carries don't have. They are not good at hitting multiple people at the same time. Misfortune could hit an entire team and nuke them all down. You're not going to be scaling as well as others, even with the Dark Harvest. That can make it better. It makes the burst better for sure, but ultimately you don't have that much consistent auto damage, so you can lack that late game. So those are our 5 stars, but 4 star for me would mean they have a bit more of a downside as well as the good stuff, but they can hard carry games on this patch and they're still really, really good. Jinx is going to be the first one here and quietly becoming one of the best AD carries, even though she is crit based, and crit based AD carries are not the best at the moment. Stormrazor is the reason for it. It's an insane item on her after the recent buffs. It increases her Q damage now as well. The interaction's a little bit better, but basically you get a guaranteed rocket AoE crit. It also comes down to the snowball aspect. The game is very snowbally right now. You get a lead, you kind of make that lead bigger, but when ahead, Jinx is going to nuke towers down really fast with her minigun, and also a reset speed turns like 1 kill into 2 or more. So basically if you start to get ahead on Jinx, you get even further ahead than other AD carries with the same lead, if that makes sense. Riot gave her those things with a few buffs, and the trade-off was her late game isn't as good. She doesn't scale as well as she used to. She isn't bad late game or anything like that, but she's not as much the hyper carry that we used to kind of think of. I was thinking about putting Draven in our 5 stars. Like a good Draven is just really not that fun to play against right now. The closest to like a 1v9 AD carry that we really have. Bloodthirster and Stormrazor as your first 2 items, crazy damage. Doesn't really matter what order, it's kind of personal preference, but it's good lifesteal. It has good AD as well, and it helps in this kind of like damage heavy meta. You can duel people properly. Currently as well, if a game ends before 20 minutes, so obviously if you snowball out of control, you get a lead and stuff, Draven has about 60% win rate. It shows that even if he is slightly ahead, it's kind of lights out. As the game goes later though, he is going to be easier to shut down and to play around as well and to kind of nuke him out. So any crowd control can really mess with him at the same time, but thankfully we go for damage nowadays. We don't really have crowd control stack teams. Kaiser is another 4-star for me. I had a string of nerfs recently that made sure her early game just wasn't going to be as good as before. This was the first thing I noticed when I started playing her again for my 30-day challenge. That actually does really hurt in this meta, so if you play Kaiser, you have to learn that in lane phase you might just get your ass kicked, but the good thing is that doesn't actually matter that much. Despite that, once you get to 2 items, once you upgrade your E so you can go invisible, you can hard carry the game and outplay everybody. It really doesn't matter. She is also a hyper scaling AD carry, of course, right? The more items you get, the stronger you are, the more damage you have, but also the harder you are going to be to kill. And if you get fed in the lane phase, if you get ganks, or if you just punish the enemy team for mistakes, you get there sooner. Lucian is one of the best early game AD carries still right now. You can't really out duel him. If he gets close at all, he's going to shred you. The game obviously obviously is faster, and Lucian is very good early game. If you're a beast, you can kind of combo and you can still be relevant late game, but it is much more difficult. Blade and Black Cleaver is such a good combo. Like, it makes you pretty tanky. You have good lifesteal as well to duel people, so you can really get stuck in and you're not going to get nuked down like every other AD. He's much more mobile than others as well, which makes that even better. Like, really good with the damage supports to dominate the lane phase. They provide some damage, you provide even more damage, and you can dive in and actually use it. Okay, so 3 stars. Good AD carries, but they will struggle in some way, like versus the 4 and the 5-star champions. So there is a little bit of a difference, but you can definitely still win with them. Vayne is going to kick us off, and her late game is insane now after the buff. So if you get there, you will be set for the game, and it'll be pretty easy. It isn't that easy to get to that point, though, unfortunately. Early game, you can be bullied pretty hard, especially by damage supports. It's not even really the AD that is going to bone you. It is the support. You do need 2 items as well before you can do well, but it is only 2. After that, you're going to be set. It's like Blade and Rage Blade together at the moment. It's insane now with the new silver bolt buffs as well. So if you get to that point, you're going to stand a good chance to at least do something. Twitch is another one. Just like this, you have an even more insane late game than Vayne, actually, but just as poo in the lane phase. He has had some good buffs recently, actually. This patch, it was giving him more health in lane to help survive, and I think the last patch, the patch before that, it was giving his E some more damage. Twitch has always had one of the best team fights, like, out of AD carries in the game, but you do need items to be able to do it. Yes, you can hit everybody, but when you get some crit and some blade, obviously, percentage damage, that hurts even more. It's a bit of a risk, really. It's kind of like high risk, high reward. So you gamble not losing too hard early game to carry late game, if that makes sense. But part of that is just very easy to focus. Damage and post supports make your life hell with that as well. Like, there's no real way to dodge it, and in the lane phase, you're probably going to go down. So yes, you're probably going to die a few times, but you just have to play for late. Sivir is one that you might not have expected. She had really good buffs recently that have made her a lot better. She's definitely underrated. Your Q is going to be lower cooldown, so your Boomerang, you're the damage from Stormrazor as well, and the AD actually from Stormrazor making your Q hurt even more. Makes her early game much, much better. It's not just about the damage, obviously, with Sivir. Like, early game, it is really good, though. You can poke, you can wave clear, and you can actually do pretty well. Most people don't expect it. She's even pretty safe with her spell shield, but it's about your ultimate. We have damage everywhere in the meta. All they really need is a way into a fight, and you provide that. As with every other crit AD, though, you do struggle mid to late game while you're trying to get to your full build, or at least like 3 items with your Infinity Edge. Ezreal isn't naturally a beast anymore after the consistent nerfs he had, right? Really, like, pounded him right into the ground. If you're good with him, though, it's a really good champion to show your mechanical ability. If you hit your Qs and you kite well and stuff, you can carry where most people can't. You also get your items a lot quicker than other AD carries because they're cheaper, so you stay ahead of the kind of pace of the game, if that makes sense, and you're also very safe, so again, you don't need much help from your team. He doesn't really have the highest damage output, though, in full-on team fights, unless you're hitting, like, almost every single Q, which, again, comes kind of down to mechanics. You have to get a lead early, really, and then try to end the game. You can't sit back that much. You won't scale as well as others, but double tier helps a little bit with that. The reason most people don't go that anymore is it's just because it's a lot slower. There are a lot of champions in our 3 stars, by the way. It's just because a lot of champions are decent, but like they have some kind of big issue that's holding them back. Kalin is a lot like that. She always had this issue where she'll be pretty weak mid game with a lack of abilities to do damage, but now that is even worse because of the item changes. If you do get ahead, you can skip that part, so it makes it a lot better. You have high range, you're safe, you can kite really well, and you're good when you're left on your own to shred people, but you aren't as dominant in the lane phase after nerfs and stat changes, right? Which is one of the reasons we picked her in the first place. You could outrange people and push them into tower. You might have thought Xayah would be a bit higher, and maybe on a really good player she would be. You have a good early game, you have a good lane phase, but you kind of need to get ahead. You don't tend to build much cooldown reduction anymore because of Stormrazor, so it's all really auto damage and crits and stuff, so you have the same issues as other crit champions. Lane phase is really where you have to shine, though. Like, you have to fight, you have to use your damage you have at that point, you have to use your root, your base damage on your abilities, your ultimates to stay safe, and then outplay people. It takes longer to power up now than it used to because we swapped away from Essence Reaver into a crit build, which sure is really good, especially with your W like in late game team fights, but it's not that good early into the game. Now, Ashe is one that I keep saying is underrated, but same story as the others here, needs items more than others, to be honest, actually, before she can do damage. Blade the Rune King into Runins is a solid build, though, and it kind of helps with that, actually. I also really like Cleaver Third, even though it's not as common, but you have more healing and more damage up front in that build early into the game. You can kite amazingly well, though, with Ashe. You shred team fights later on with your Runins, and obviously your arrow can engage and set up a lot of plays, something that most AD carries lack. The thing is, you are immobile, and you're very, very easy to focus. Point blank arrows don't really do that much. You don't have that much defense, and there are loads of assassins around right now. You might have noticed that Varus is not in this video so far. It feels really bad. After using Varus some more recently and testing him, I don't think he's that great for solo queue. AP does not feel as good anymore, the build that I used to go all the time. A Blade into Rage Blade with lethal tempo is better, but I need to test it a little bit more. Your ultimate is one of the best teamfight tools in the entire game, but you have to group for that to actually use, and if you have a strong support or follow-up in your team, it is so good. Thing is, you're immobile, it's very easy to focus you down. When you're left alone, you're going to be pretty boned. You can't duel somebody like a Lucian or a Kaiser. So let's go into 2 stars. You can win with them and you can play them. It's perfectly fine, but you are going to struggle a little bit more than the other champions. Tristana is basically like the problems Kalin has, but without the headshot damage to save her. Tristana is not that bad in lane phase, actually better than Kalin, but if you don't get ahead, you're going to struggle until you have those 3 magical items. If you do get ahead, you have your reset, you have your jumps, you stay incredibly safe, you have good damage, and you nuke towers with your explosive charge now. But you're too reliant on items to actually do that damage in the first place. Even with the recent buffs, they just gave her a better AD ratio, which she needs items to use, so it doesn't really help. Kog'maw is the other one here, and if you have a good team comp for him, he's not that bad at all. Actually, he's pretty okay, like especially when he's ahead, but I don't know if you've ever played Kog'maw against an assassin. It is not that fun, and that is this meta. His damage does shred everybody. He has really high range to use that damage, which is great. He shreds tanks, squishies, doesn't matter at all. He is really easy to focus though, probably the easiest target for an assassin. No mobility, no way to stop that person at all. He is so reliant on team play and grouping properly, which is not ideal for solo queue. He needs time to do damage as well, which is not ideal for the meta. So our only 1 star is going to be Kalista. This honestly makes me rage a little bit because I love Kalista. She's supposed to be a lane bully, but they nerfed her lane phase. They lowered her range, her E, her rend stacks, costing mana, sucks early ranks, and then the update, they lowered her base stats to make that worse. If you're good with Kalista, if you're good with her, then you can kite like a god. You run double lifesteal, so given a little bit of time in fights, you can out-kite and out-survive, but honestly, there are just too many issues with her right now, and she doesn't smash lane hard enough. So that is the entire AD carry role ranked right now, at least for solo queue anyway. Let me know what you would move around, but thank you for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video.